guys. Welcome to the Love Experience Show. I am your host, Ashley J. I am a wife, mother, author, speaker, couples therapist, and relationship coach and dating coach. Excuse me, I had a moment. So I'm so glad that you're here with me tonight. Today we do have a guest, and I'm hoping that she logs on soon. I don't know if she's having some challenges with getting in, but I am so excited to be with y'all tonight and present the guest as soon as she gets here. Okay. So before we jump in and get started, please invite 5 people to watch with you. Throw a watch party. Get your friends, get your whoever, everybody you know, and send them this episode. So share this episode with everyone. Go ahead and like it. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Here is my guest. Hi, Dr. Gill.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am doing well.
That's good. I was hoping that you could get on it. I was hoping you didn't have any troubles with getting one. So thank
No,
you for being here.
no, it was a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm
Thank
excited.
you. So you want to tell the people who you are?
Yes. So my name is Dr. Gail James, and I wear quite a few hats. I'm a pastor. I am an author, best-selling author, twice best number one best-selling author. I am also a CEO, entrepreneur of many businesses, home health care agencies,
Okay.
mental health practices, group homes in Florida and in the US Virgin Islands. But what I
Oh.
admire, what I like the most out of all that I do is the therapist part.
Okay, I'm a therapist as well.
God.
So, how long have you been a therapist?
Since 2016.
Okay. Okay, I came in a few years after you, 2019.
Okay.
That's exciting, exciting. So, what would you like for us to know about your love experience?
Well, I would say that my love experience, I had to learn to forgive because of the trauma that I
Mm,
went through. I had to be kind to myself and
mhm,
learn to heal myself first and
mhm,
love myself, and that way I would be able to love others unconditionally.
mhm,
With it being my mom, my hardest love relationship was with my mom, but I
mhm,
learned to forgive her and love her in spite of, because I think a lot of times what we do is we are so busy looking at the situation and not looking at what that person went through. So I
okay.
had to understand that she was loving, she was parenting from a place of pain instead of
Mm,
purpose. And so that's what I would say.
okay. And I'm glad you said that because a lot of times when it doesn't matter who it is, if something does not go the way we think it should go, we blame our parents and really don't look at where our parents were at the time they were raising us. Because a lot of times they are um, trying to figure it out, especially if it's the first child. They
Yes.
are trying to figure it out. I like to say that the first child is the experiment child because they are trying to learn their way through parenthood. And when you are the experiment child, sometimes there's damage that could happen because they don't know. They're just trying things out.
Yes. And it took God. I remember God had to tell me like, because I was like, why am I the black sheep? She got 12 children. I'm child number 11. Why
Oh
am I the
wow.
black sheep? And I remember God took me back, like literally. He said, remember when she would take all y'all to your grandmother in Dominica and she would line all y'all up to kiss your grandma? Your grandma would scoot every child away till she got to this one specific child, kiss her, and then come back around to all of us. He said, that's the same black sheepism she went through. And guess who was your grandma's black sheep? It was your mom.
Oh
And
wow.
even with the molestation, because that's what traumatized our relationship.
Mm.
I was molested by three of my siblings, three of my male siblings, and I told on one. He
Okay.
was he was 21 at the time. I was 10, and though he admitted, my mom's response to me was like, "You knew what you were doing, that you wanted it." I was like, "What? I'm 10. He's
Oh.
21." And so even in that, God had to take me back. God was like, she has 12 children from like seven different daddies. You don't see something wrong with that? And I was like, nah. He was like, you got molested. What happened? You were promiscuous. Same thing. She is looking at what she wanted to be. She wanted to be strong enough and have the voice to say, like I did, and she didn't. So she's looking at who she wished she could have been. And when God told me that, I was blown away. I forgave her for everything she ever did. And I learned to love her unconditionally because she was carrying her own trauma.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So let's take that. Let's go back. Because that was really good. So your mother blamed you for being molested, and she molested as a
Right.
child too.
That's what God showed me. God showed me like this same thing happened because to me it was generational curses because I wasn't the
Mhm.
only one.
Okay.
She had nine children when my dad met her. My dad had maybe 16. He had two on the side while he was with her, but they had three girls together. I'm the middle girl.
Okay.
So I saw what my other sister get molested too. She just never talked up. So she's the family princess. They love her. She's the favorite child. And I have 11 siblings that don't talk to me because I told the family secret. Yeah. I have three
11.
siblings live in my same city and don't talk to me. So
Wow.
I had to understand like what does this look like for me? Because I had to understand that I cannot live in a facade, a
Mhm.
fantasy. Everything is okay. I look beautiful on the outside, but I tore up on the inside. I was
Mhm.
just not going to do that because that's existing, that's not living. There's a
Mhm.
difference.
Mhm.
And so I decided that I was going to forgive her to the point where when she got older and she got sick, I flew to the Virgin Islands every week, $550 round trip to take care of my mom. I couldn't watch her suffer. And she asked me to take her. And I asked them and they said no. With
Wow.
our relationship, I would be the worst place for her to go. But I was the one that was financially secured. I had a nanny living in my house. I have a child that's disabled. I know how to take because she had 6 strokes and she
Oh
was
wow.
in a
Okay.
wheelchair. So she couldn't walk anymore. And I remember one of my brothers on the conference call saying, Gail is the only one financially secure to take care of mommy. Gail
Mhm.
is the only one with a nanny living in her house. Gail is the
Mhm.
only one that have experience taking care of a disabled person.
Mhm.
This is the best place for mommy to go. And I'll never forget, it's like yesterday, I was driving down John Young Parkway. She called me. And anytime she wants something, she wouldn't call me by my name. She called me Gailey. And she said, Gailey? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, please take me because if you don't take me, they're going to put me in a nursing home and I'm going to die there. And I said, okay, mommy, I will. And I asked them for it and they said no. My sister took her, kept her for a month, and then called me and told me, can I take her? And I was like, I asked y'all. Y'all know I do group homes for the disabled. So when my homes are filled, they asked me to move out, use that home, and do another one. When I called you, I had rooms downstairs. Now I don't have any rooms downstairs. I
Mhm.
can't put mommy upstairs. She can't walk. They put
Mhm.
her in a nursing home. She died there.
How long after?
It's been 2000 since 2007.
Wow.
Yep. She was 72.
Wow.
But I forgave her. It was the most peace because I remember when they called me and they said, she's not looking good. And I went down there and she was laying in the bed at the hospital and I held her head and I said, Mommy, I forgive you. I said, Mommy, I forgive you for everything. And the
Mhm.
tears just rolled down her face. Before I could get on 95 real good, my mom was dead.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. Did your siblings have any regret for not letting her come with you from the beginning?
I don't think they would. I think they are so caught up in the how the family looks.
Mm.
It's and that is why they don't speak to me. It's I'm making the family look bad instead of, well, my mama didn't respond the way she should have, and so she died not knowing about the other two brothers. I say, but the problem is, if we can just stop the generational curse,
Mm.
we might be better for it. And I understood. God sat me down real good and was like, I don't need you to focus on not being the favorite. I don't need you to focus on being loved by them. I don't need you to focus on being liked by them. I'll never forget, he gave me this word. When you're chosen by me, you're rejected by man.
And that's the truth.
And that was profound to me because for years, I bought their love. I
Mm.
bought people cars. I paid for people mortgages. My first business, I was only 23, 24, making over $600,000 a year. So I bought my mama 5 cars before my mom passed. I,
Wow.
I just wanted somebody to say, I love you. I'm proud of you.
Hmm.
And I never heard it.
After doing all of that, so
No,
what did that tell you?
love can't be bought. It cannot be bought.
Hmm.
It has to genuinely be there. And the person, it has to be two willing participants.
Hmm.
It was fine if I'm buying their love. But if they don't want to reciprocate it, it's nothing I could do. I'm only responsible for my actions.
Hmm.
And so I had to learn that. And it gets a little, leery sometimes. Like people are like, you got 11 siblings and none of them. I said, nobody on my mom's side. I said, my only siblings that speak to me is on my daddy's side.
Wow.
Nobody on my mother's side speaks to me because they said I told the family secret. And I told them, I'm like, that was not a secret. The boy got convicted. He's a registered sexual offender. How is that a secret? You can go on Google and look it up. Stop.
Wow.
I said, why y'all? I said that, and I feel like that's how I got my nonprofit. I did, I created a nonprofit named Sanctuary of Change Incorporated for child survivors of childhood sexual abuse and domestic violence. And my motto is no more family secrets.
Mm.
Because I found once I told my story, I was blown away with people that I walked to school with every day, talked to every day, that was being sexually molested by their dad every day. And it was profound because out of my mouth, I said, I didn't know she was going through that. And she said, we didn't look like what we was going through.
Mhm. Mhm.
But we was together every day and not knowing both of us is living a nightmare.
Wow. Wow.
So that my whole goal is to make sure that's why I went to school to become a therapist. I want to be the me that I needed when I was going through for someone else.
Yes.
Because I feel like people need that. I told somebody yesterday, I said, I think the biggest thing with trauma is the response. Had my mom had a total different response, we would have had a total different result.
Yeah.
But it happened. My brother admitted to it, and I was blamed. Had she just said, I'm so sorry, I love you, we gonna work it out, That would have changed everything.
Yeah.
Not her response. And so I think the thing is the response, because the response causes a level of guilt and shame and rejection and abandonment. And these are things, you, as you know, as a therapist, you got to unpack these things. If
Hmm.
not, you're going to bleed on everybody who didn't cut you.
Yeah.
Everybody you come in contact with, you're going to bleed on them, because hurt people hurt people.
Yes. Absolutely. And I don't think that people really pay that any attention. That is so important to realize that when you're hurting, you're going to hurt other people, whether it's intentionally or not. You are going to hurt other people. And I mean, your story is amazing. So how do you live life, move forward with your life when none of your siblings talk to you?
I had to learn that there's a difference in relatives and family.
Hmm.
I had one of my well, that's my oldest sister on my mom's side, because she had six girls, six boys.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so the oldest girl, I remember she said to me, "You always claiming these people that's not your family. They are my family. If you love me, empower me, support me, and motivate me, encourage me, you are my family. Relatives have the same DNA.
Mm,
Family have true love."
yeah.
And so once I distinguished that, I am okay. It took my husband and my children, because I remember one day they called me and I didn't even recognize it. My husband was like, "Every time they call you, you walk around the house slamming doors and angry with the whole world. We didn't do anything to you, but me and the boys got to get it." And I was like, "What? I do that?" And he was like, "Yes, every time they call." And I blocked everybody on Facebook, and I would only take calls when I was in a good space in my mentally.
Mm,
And after that, once I started telling my story, they just cut me off. They was like, "Nah, you want to tell the whole family business?" I'm like, "It's not the family business. You could Google it."
yeah.
I said, "He was arrested. He was charged." I said, "Y'all are acting like I made this up. This boy admitted, and y'all mad with me." So I figured out, like, some people are not worthy of your presence, and that's okay,
Mm-hmm.
because some of them is family,
Mm-hmm.
some of them is your relatives.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're toxic, I don't have time for it, because in my day, if I'm taking in your toxicity, I have no time to really be my authentic best version of myself.
Right.
And when you have a mindset for purpose and destiny, and it was in your womb before you were even born, you don't have time for that.
You don't. You don't. You so right.
Yeah.
My goodness. So, was your brother convicted for what he did to you or for somebody else?
No, for what he did to me.
Okay.
My mom negotiated the case, so he was supposed to serve jail time, but he ended up getting community service, probation, and being a registered sexual offender.
Okay.
At the time, I don't think my mom knew what a registered sexual offender meant,
Okay.
because eventually, I think it was maybe like I was 20, maybe 12 years later, one of my sisters saw it on the internet, and she called, my mom called me. I was married to my son's father, my two boys' dad, and she called me everything but a child of God, because I had her son name in the on the sexual offender
Mhm.
thing. And I just sat there. I've never disrespected my mom. She was cussing at me, calling me names. I just said, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." And when she was done, I hung up the phone.
Wow. I don't even know what to say to that. Wow.
she was parenting from a place of pain, and I think God needed to show me that so that I could stop the blame game and
Mm-hmm.
being like, you did, you did, you did. And
Yeah.
I had to like really look at that. God made it where I had to look at that. And I was like, oh, wow. She went through some stuff too
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
wasn't able to come out. And so I can't blame her. I'm like, and parenting doesn't come with a manual.
It doesn't.
You have 12 children, and she had me later in her years because I have a sister 3 years younger than me. That's her last child. And I think my mom was about 45, 50, 45, almost 50 when she had her.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
my siblings, like my mother's oldest child is almost 70. And
Okay.
I'm 51. So yeah.
Wow.
hmm
Okay.
So she in a short span, she had a lot of us. But I felt like she did the best she could with
Mm-hmm.
what she had. She wasn't dealt the best of cards. And I lost my best friend for forgiving her because my best friend used to hide me in her house, her and her mom, because I didn't have no place to stay. After
Mm-hmm.
my mom broke my arm at 14, I ain't had nowhere to stay. So I used to go and sneak in the house, and the mama knew, but the daddy didn't know. So the daddy would come in late at night drunk. So the mom would say, get under the bunk bed, get under the bunk bed. I'm going to take him back to the room. And then she'd come back out and she'd say, get up in the bed with Patsy. So once I got up in the bed, I would, and they held me down. But when I forgave her, my best friend was like, after all she did to you, I said, I gotta forgive her. She's my mom. She was like, I don't care. And she stopped talking to me. She stopped talking to me. But in a way, I understand it, but I still don't understand it because I explained to her, I was like, if I can only thank her for three things, those things are good enough. She introduced me to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. She gave me life. She did not abort me, and she did not give me up for adoption. I said those three things are good enough for me. I
Mm-hmm.
can't forgive her, but to her, it was like no go. It was like, man, I seen the stuff she did. Girl, you were homeless. Girl, what you talking about? I said, I know, but it's my mom.
Yeah. So okay. You gotta tell us. You gotta tell us about that. How did your mom break your arm at 14?
So when I got molested at 10, they took me out the house
Okay.
and they put me in the only home on the island, which was for bad girls. And I went in there and I felt like, what? Why would they put me in here?
Yeah.
I was sharing a twin bed. I'll never forget it with this girl, little girl, and she was sneaking man in through the window. So me and her bumping elbows. She had the man having sex right next to me. We bumping elbows. I'm like, oh Jesus! I just went from the pot to the frying pan. This ain't gonna work. So the same window the man came through, I went out that window. I was like, peace. I'm gone.
Wow. Okay.
I'm a little girl, and it was far. It was very far, because that was on the north side of the island, and I live all the way on the east side of the island.
Okay.
So I went by these people who I used to help babysit, and the man said, "We can't keep you. We can't keep you. You're a minor. We can't." So I was like, "I don't. Please don't let me go back there." And they took me back to human services. So human services was like, "We gonna have to put you back there." I'm like, "I don't want to go there." And so when I left again, I ran away from there again. I went back home. I had no
Okay.
choice.
Okay.
And my mom was still not feeling me at the time. So I stayed there. She broke my arm at 14. And I remember one of my brothers say, something sticking out the Gail arm is white. Like I think Gail hand break with a mop stick. She was like, I said, so my brother said, I think Gail arm break. Can I borrow your car to take her to? She said, if you move my car, I'm gonna break you too. I waited till everybody went to sleep, and I'll never forget there was an old BMW on the top of the road, and the trunk never closed. I threw a whole bunch of clothes in a black garbage bag, threw it in the trunk, And I hightailed down the way to the hospital. I got there, and then people say, "We can't touch you. You're a minor." I said, "My bone is sticking out my hand. We can't touch you. You're a minor." And believe it or not, that's why I say, if you don't get healed, you end up into other traumatic situations.
Yeah.
So my mom used to sell fruits and vegetables on the highway, and this dude used to always come there and joke with us. So I knew that he was of age. Don't really know exactly what age he was, but I know he was older.
Mhm.
And I called him and I said, "Can you please come sign me into the hospital because my arm broke and I need them to put a cast on it?" And he did. And so me and him were friends. We were cool and everything. But then we kind of got into it. And once we got into it, it looked like he watched, like he see nobody was coming to my rescue, like I didn't have anybody really looking out for me. And once he figured that out, I mean, I was beaten every day, kick with steel toe boots. I was kidnapped at gunpoint with a 9 millimeter and a 12 gauge, held for a whole week.
Because of him?
No, he did that.
You did-
Once he figured out, like I was out there on my own, like it was in his mind. Because in the beginning he was like my knight in shining armor. I was like, he
Mhm.
just too good, like something wrong.
Mhm.
And once he see like nobody wasn't coming my way to look for me or nothing, he was like, "Okay, I got her. That's cool." And yeah, I was beaten in every way possible, to the point where one day he beat me so bad I locked myself in the bathroom and I tried to kill myself. I took
Mhm.
a whole bottle of Tylenol. I did nothing but throw up.
Mhm.
So I saw a bottle of bleach under the sink and I drank bleach. My throat was on fire, but I didn't die. Didn't die.
That is,
When God ain't ready for you.
yeah. I was gonna say that.
I was like, "God, please take me out of here. Like, if this is what you bring me in the world for," because it was like, I just felt like it was abuse after abuse after abuse. Like, I couldn't get a break.
Yeah.
And I'm with this person that was being kind and nice, and now he beating the crap out of me. I, I, I just, it just was mind blowing. Like I remember going to my mom. My mom said I wouldn't be nothing. She said, "You wasn't going to turn out to be nothing. You worthless." And I remember when I was graduating high school, I took her the invitation and I said, "Mom, I'm graduating." And she said, she threw the invitation back at me. She said, "I got better things to do with my time. I ain't coming though." And I thought she would play. So I show up at the graduation and only my daddy there. I was
Wow.
like, okay, so she meant she was not coming for real. She didn't
Wow.
come. And it just, and I ended up having a child with that abuser. My that ended up being my first child's father. And because he was so abusive, I went into labor 2 weeks before my high school graduation. Well, I wasn't full term. I was only 6 months pregnant. So my daughter was born at 2 pounds
Wow.
and she never walked. She's never talked. They say she wouldn't live past one, but she's 33 years old today, and she's still in a wheelchair, still in diapers, but she's alive.
Wow.
So it's been a road, but I honestly don't think I could have done it without the grace and mercy and favor of God.
That's
Because even my book, when I wrote my book to come up with that title, From the Pit to the Palace, because
mm,
a lot of people see me and hear the story and like, oh, well, when they don't hear the story and they just see and they're like, oh, well, she got businesses all over and she doing this. I'm like, they don't know the cost. They do not know the cost.
mm-mm.
And so my whole goal is to let others know that I don't care what you've been through. I don't care what you're going through. If God created you with purpose and destiny in your womb, the devil in hell can't kill you.
He sure
It's
can.
going to come to fruition. It's going to manifest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can do it. If you look at me, you're looking at a miracle. I spoke at a conference in the Virgin Islands just last week,
Okay.
weekend just gone, and they I told my testimony, but I also went on to, because some parts are not in the book. Like I had 6 strokes. I used to have seizures behind the wheel. They took my license for having seizures behind the wheel.
You did.
They say I got lupus. I say I don't look like what I've been through. I say I'm a walking miracle, a walking miracle. I say if you look at my medical chart, you'd be like, this must be a reincarnation or something. I say you looking at somebody. And that's why I tell people, I say, don't let nobody tell you what God can't do.
You got that right.
I say, because if you look at me, you would never believe that I've been through that kind of thing, those kind of things. Because it was meant, I say it all the time, it was meant to break me, but it built me. Because what God had to take me back to is God shows me, He say, every business you have was birthed out of your pain.
Mm,
I have group homes for the developmentally disabled. My
mm-hmm,
daughter is developmentally disabled. She has
mm-hmm,
cerebral palsy. That was my first business. I was making over $600,000 a year. I have home health care agencies in the U.S. Virgin Islands and in Florida because I learned compassion and empathy of
mm-hmm,
taking care of others that can't take care of themselves.
mm-hmm,
I have mental health practices in the U.S. Virgin Islands and in Florida because of my trauma.
mm-hmm.
I learned I wanted to be that person for others. So the very thing that the enemy took to kill you, God will turn it around for your good. Because now it's making me money.
Yeah.
That very
Yeah.
thing that almost took me out of here. They
Mm-hmm.
can't tell me about what God can do. My daughter is a miracle all by herself. 2 pounds, she could fit in my hand just like this.
Wow.
And they said she ain't gonna live past one. They said she not gonna live past one. Abigail is 33 years old, honey.
Wow.
Only God.
Only God.
Only God. And when you know it, you don't get full of yourself. You stay humble
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
you remember from that which you came and you understand that this is not of Gail. It's nothing I could have done so great to deserve anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's the mere grace and mercy of God that allowed me to still live, to still be here, to have a testimony. When God said to me, it wasn't about you,
Mm-hmm.
it was so you could have some other folks.
Right.
I said, so you mean I went through all of that? It wasn't about me? He said, yeah, it wasn't about you. Didn't have nothing to do with you. That'll mess you up.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
went through all of that, had nothing to do with you. And I ain't gonna lie, the rejection and stuff used to hurt, but it don't hurt anymore. Because it's like if God be for me, who can be against me?
Right.
So I'm chosen by God. I'm rejected by y'all. Who I prefer to be chosen by God because I know I'm gonna have eternal life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Y'all don't have a heaven or hell to put me in. So I roll with it. I have 3 beautiful children and a amazing husband. So I say, you know what? I thank God for that.
Okay. So I got two things. First, in case y'all missed it, Dr. Gill said she tried to commit suicide, swallowed a whole bottle of Tylenol, and drank bleach. Okay, and she was beaten all the time, which any of those beatings that she got could have taken her out of here. And then on top of that, she said she's had 6 strokes, epilepsy, having seizures behind the wheel, Um, and you said lupus. You were diagnosed with lupus.
Hmm. I used to take 28 pills in the morning and 28 pills in the night.
Mm, mm, mm.
They took my license. They found me because I used to know when I'm going to have a seizure. So I
Mhm.
would call somebody and say, if you don't hear from me in 15 minutes, here I am. Come meet me. I'm at so and so. And this time the person freaked out and
Okay.
they called the ambulance.
Okay.
And so when the ambulance came, I was behind the wheel, passed out.
Mhm.
And they took me to the hospital. And the hospital wrote to Tallahassee and they revoked my
Mhm.
driver's license.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I was like, I need my driver's license. I gotta run my businesses. That was all I was thinking of. It was so crazy to say that, but that's all I was thinking about. I was like, I need my driver's license. I gotta run my businesses. And I know God was maybe like, really? That's what you're thinking about? You could
Right.
have died, girl. You worried about running the businesses. I got it back though. I got it
Yeah.
back.
Okay. Here's the other thing that I wanted to ask you. With all of the trauma that you had with men, how did you get to trust your husband?
I used to choose wrong.
Mhm.
And I had this talk with my dad because though I love my dad and everybody say I'm his favorite.
Mhm. Mhm.
He just passed away in June, but he stayed with me. I got him and I had him living with me and he passed away. But I told him, I said, Daddy, it's your fault that I choose men that beat on me because I watch you beat my mama.
Mm.
I told him that. And he said, Really? I said, Yes, Daddy. I said, because I don't think I do that. I say, I love you so much. It's almost like I look for you in men.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he was just flabbergasted, like he didn't know what to say. Like I really
Mhm.
told him like that. So I think it's hard for me to trust anybody. And I'll tell you why. I had to stop looking at relationships, any relationship. If you wanted to be my friend and you approach me right now and you like, girl, I got you, girl. You know, girl, I'm gonna have your back. I'm like, yeah, right. My mama that gave birth to me didn't like me. How you gonna like me? That's what I'm saying in my head.
Okay. Okay.
And so I looked at every relationship like that.
Okay.
Friendship, men, everybody. And God sent me my husband
Mhm.
because he was the first person that knew how to deal with me. It was like handling me with kid gloves. It was like,
Okay.
okay, she's not your average woman. And I teach this in counseling. Like, I've had people that I counsel that have been through trauma, and I tell them every when I'm talking to the young lady that have been through trauma, and I'm talking to her boyfriend or her husband, you're not going to be able to say things to her that you can say to other women.
Yeah.
Because for me, when you've been through those kind of trauma, you can't just be like, "Oh, girl, come on, let's do that." No, I'm looking at you like, "What you? Who you talking to?"
Mhm.
If because it's a trigger,
Yeah.
and so you have to learn that person. And I think my husband showed me that he took the time to not only learn and understand, but he didn't give up on me.
Mm.
He didn't give up on me. Even when it got tough, he didn't give up.
Mhm.
He stood in the fight and he fought for us when I wasn't even fighting for us. Because I know there are times I was like, just go, go. I don't want this. And he like, no, I ain't going no. What's wrong with you? Because remember, I'm used to abandonment and rejection. I can be all by myself. Go ahead. And
Mhm.
he was like, no, I'm not leaving you. I'm not doing that. But that's the self sabotage that I talk to a lot of our women about because we don't realize that we do that.
Yeah.
We do that because we are loving from a place of pain and trauma. So we self-sabotaging. Oh, the guy's being kind. Oh, something wrong. He being too good. I'm waiting for the shoe to
Mhm.
drop. What shoe to
Mhm.
drop?
Mhm.
And so we got to stop doing that. And I had to catch myself. And I thank God that he was that one that he was like, nah, I ain't going nowhere. I'm not going. I'm not going to be. I remember when I first told him what I've been through. My husband don't cry. That was the only time I ever seen my husband cry. And he said, I promise you, I'll never let anybody hurt you again. That was his response. That was his response.
Wow.
And I was blown away because I was with somebody before that because I was still talking to my brother. They was like, oh, well, you must have wanted that because why you talking? Forgiveness. I want to go to heaven. So the boy owned his stuff. He asked for forgiveness. Why I'm not going to talk to him?
Mm. Mhm.
How can I ask God for the same forgiveness that I don't want to give somebody else?
Yeah.
So I'm just grateful because I think he could have given up a long time ago, but he stayed in the fight. And now we can see what the benefits of staying in the fight look like because it's a beautiful thing. I tell people all the time because people see me a lot. I travel, I speak, I'm here, I'm there, and they don't see him. And I say, you know what? I'm thankful for him because he doesn't stop me.
Mhm.
He's a hard worker. He like to work. And though
Okay.
I own all these companies, he don't want to go work with a company. He want to work. And
Okay.
so, and so I go everywhere and he never stops me. He don't say, honey, you can't go. You know, he said, all right, love you. See you when you come back. He just, and so God created me. God created Rick James for me. And that's his real name, Rick James.
Okay.
God created Rick James just for me, baby. Look here. He said, honey, if they take you, they're going to give you back in 2 seconds.
Okay.
I said, am I that much of a handful? He said, yeah, you 2 hands full.
Not too hands full. That is
Okay, that's my
funny.
honey though. God bless me with him. I tell you, I just thank God for him because when you're not healed, and you know that as a therapist, when you're not
Mhm.
healed, everything around you is affected.
It is.
Every person that comes in contact with you, you bleed on people that didn't cut you
Yeah.
because you're not healed. And that's why I try to impress on people, get your healing, not for anybody else but for you, so you
Mhm.
can have peace. You can know what real peace feel like, real
Mhm.
joy, because when you don't get healed, you don't know what that stuff is.
Yeah. You don't.
You just existing, you're not living.
Yeah.
I can actually say I'm living. I am living my best life. I thank God I'm living my best life.
I know that's right. And I even with when you experience trauma and you're not healed, you see things completely different. It is a refreshing wake up call when you get to a place where you are more healed than you were before and you can see things differently. It is completely different.
Yeah, because you could look back, like now I could look back on relationships.
Hmm.
Because I told somebody the other day, I said, you know what is crazy? The two guys I loved the most was the two abusers. I said, ain't
Hmm.
that crazy? I said, I love them so hard.
Hmm.
But I'm talking about crazy stuff like hold my head under the water in my pool. I can't swim. Try
Oh,
to throw me
really?
out of a moving vehicle going 65 miles an hour on Beeline Highway. I mean, it's just mind blowing. And I was like, I had to ask God, like, what attracted me to them?
Hmm.
And it was so clear, the toxicity.
Mm-hmm.
What my norm. Okay, so my norm growing up was not normal, but it was my norm. So
Mm-hmm.
it was norm to me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I grew up, I was looking for the toxicity because toxicity was my norm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean it was normal. It was my
Right.
norm though.
Right.
So I didn't know what it looked like to not be arguing and not fighting and not be cheating and not
Mm-hmm.
be hit.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't normal to me. What? You with somebody that don't beat you? They don't cuss you out? That's not normal.
Yeah.
It was my norm. And so once I understood it might have been my norm, but it wasn't normal, then is when my perspective changed.
Yeah.
And I was like, this ain't what love is. This hurts.
Yeah.
This is not love. This hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And love shouldn't hurt so bad.
Right.
And when you get to that point, you start looking at things differently, like, wow. Because a whole big part of it is your self-worth.
Yes.
When you do not know your self-worth, you will stay on that clearance rack. You will stay on that clearance rack advertising 50 cents, 50 cents. Like, and people will get it for 50 cents because that's
Yeah.
what you giving.
Yeah.
But when you know your true self-worth and you're confident in who you are and what you deserve, you set your standards and you're not lowering them for anybody.
That's true. So true. So, so true. Um, I work with a lot of clients, especially women, that have a problem with figuring out their self-worth and constantly wonder why they get into these type of relationships that are not good for them. And after doing, some of the work, I won't even say all of the work, some of the work, they are more able to let go of those relationships because they did not serve them, and are more willing to do what is best for them. And for some of these women, that's scary. Before they started doing the work, it's scary to do that. It's scary to be alone. They don't want to be alone. But there are times when being alone is the best thing you can do, because now you get to know you. You get to know the real you. And this is the you outside of relationship. This is the you that is going to be around for a long time outside of relationships. And then you can up your standards and understand your self-worth is more than 50 cents. Your self-worth is a million. So that self-worth is key, and that's something I've struggled with in the past. I've struggled with that.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have because it's like I tell some of my clients, I'm like, how can you love someone else when you don't even love you?
Yeah.
I say the biggest problem we have is we want someone else to enjoy our company when we don't even enjoy our own company. I said, baby, God had me shut everything down, clink, clink, and I was taking myself out to dinner. I'll go to Red
Mhm.
Lobster. I said, I want that biggest lobster in there. And they talking about,
Mhm.
for two? I said, no, one. I told you it was one, just me. I'm going to sit right here by myself and eat my lobster.
Mhm.
And once I started doing that, see, you discover you discover what you
Yeah.
like. So now you're able to know when someone comes along, I like this, I don't like that. I
Mhm.
want this, I don't want that. Because a lot of times what happens is we don't know ourselves. We don't know what we even want, what we deserve. And so we settle for less. I tell a lot of my women, like, before you get into a relationship, set deal breakers and don't go like that's it. Like for me, a lot of people say I'm crazy, but like don't call me out my name. I'm packing my
Yeah.
bags. I am packing everything I got there. By the time the word come out your mouth, my U-Haul outside. Peace out. And it may be crazy to some people because some people, a lot of people have said, girl, you know, people say stuff when they're angry. I said, well, make sure that ain't something you say when you're angry because I'm gone.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said, I just that's one of my deal breakers. Don't cheat
Mhm.
on me, don't put your hands on me, and don't call me out in my name. I'm gone. There's no coming back from that. Have a nice life. You were not for me. I'm so
Yeah.
serious.
Yeah.
But we have them. A lot of us, we make the standards, but then stuff happen and we be like, oh, but I like him so much. He not gonna do it again. You're right.
Yes. Yes. And a lot of these deal breakers, they are, what's the new term? Beige flags. Instead of red flags, they're beige flags. They are things that you don't really like, but you're going to accept it because you want to stay in that relationship. Yeah.
We don't want to be alone. And
Yeah.
it's okay to be alone. When I was a, and you know what? It's so funny. I learned to enjoy myself. Before I got with my husband, I remember I was on a dating website and and God said, get off this stuff. And I shut everything down. I met my husband
Mhm.
the same day.
Did you really?
Same day God told me to shut everything down. I met my husband the same day at a restaurant.
Wow.
He said, God said, get off that stuff. Shut all that down. I shut it down. I met my husband the same day.
Wow.
So unfortunately for us, we have this thing. I don't want no man like my daddy. I ain't gonna be like my mother. We their twin. We look for their
Yes. Yes.
twin.
Yes.
We look for their twin. And I told my daddy, I said, Daddy, I love you so much out there looking for you. And you was a beater. You beat a cheater. You did it. You did.
You know, when I was in undergrad, there was I was taking human sexuality, and my professor said to us that, especially for the females, he said, you, when you get married or when you're looking for someone, you're looking for your father. If you like it or not, it's something about the way we connect with the man, and all, it's a bunch of stuff. He said you're looking for your father, and there's no truer words than that. No matter how much you try to run from it, you end up looking for your father.
And it's true. The only difference with my husband now, that's not like my father, is he got the good traits of my father. He's a
Okay.
workaholic. He does just like my daddy. My daddy, he would not sit down. If he with you, you gonna make sure he gonna make sure everything good. That's my husband. My husband gonna
Okay.
work. He is my daddy twin when it comes to that. But he don't have the bad traits. But I was so busy looking for daddy, honey. I had them bad traits going and coming, honey. They were cheating and beating. That was all. Cheating and beating. I said, Daddy, like, Daddy, really?
Yeah.
He was so flabbergasted he didn't know what to say because I think a lot of what I say was important to him
Mm,
and it just stunned him. He was like, I said, yeah, you got me picking up man that beat me.
mm, mm.
And he wasn't nobody to play with neither. They
Okay.
don't call my they no, they don't call my daddy by his name, honey. They call him Mr. Bad.
Mr. Bad.
He known for chopping people up with machete.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was not the one.
He was not the one or the two.
No, no. God rest his soul, honey. My daddy, I just came back from the Virgin Islands and they know. They're like, that's bad daughter. They're like, they know that's his child. They stay far from you because they're like, oh, he gonna do something. He didn't play. He did not play. I was the
Wow.
only child he had that he never whooped.
Really?
I didn't try my daddy. I wasn't crazy. Who try? Who gonna try somebody that told a machete?
Right, right, right.
Not having any parts of that. Like, whatever you said, daddy. Nah, I don't
Okay.
know that at it. My sisters tried. My sisters tried it. I saw what they got. I was not trying it. I was like, nope, don't want none of that.
Wow.
Mm-mm. No, but he instilled a lot of good things, and I carry those with me now. I think
The teddies or the good things?
they're much well, yeah, yeah, that part too, yeah. I'm a little. Sometimes they say I'm a little bit of him, but
Okay.
I do definitely carry the the entrepreneurship I got from him. He
Okay.
always worked a job, but he always had his own business.
Okay.
And
Wow.
I started my first business at the age of 23, 24. And I've always had my own businesses. I've never really worked for people.
Wow. That's a blessing.
Hmm.
That's a blessing.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Did you instill that in your children?
Yes, when I have my management meetings on Zoom, because
Uh-huh.
I have over 100 employees. So when I
Okay.
have, so when I just have the management team on Zoom, they're like, Dr. James, you like the only black woman I see with their cheering in the business. That's good. I say, I might be the visionary, but the vision don't die with me. I say,
Right.
because it would be a sad case if I close my eyes today or tomorrow and my boys out here looking for some on somebody's job.
Yeah.
I said, not when I done worked all it. I said, nope. So I teach them. So the oldest boy, who's 27, is the CFO. I'm the
Okay.
CEO. And the other young boy, he's 25, he is the administrator of the Florida branch.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So they're part of the business.
That's great. That is fantastic.
Yes, yes. They be looking at them. I say, y'all gotta be tough now, cause all your employees older than you.
Yeah. Oh my God. I hear them now. I'm not
Yes,
listening to no little boy.
yes. And both of them have the dreadlocks, right? So they
Okay.
look, they look. My son, it's so funny because my oldest, he was just here, and I was talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, mom, I think some of them don't respect me, cause I said, well, they better remember you the CFO and COO. You get
Right.
fired."
Right. So your oldest son lives in the Virgin Islands.
No, both boys live here.
Okay.
So I go to the Virgin Islands. I used to go every month, but since my dad passed, I think it's something to do with that because he used to live down there, and I
Okay.
brought him up here with me in Florida.
Okay.
Before he passed, and I think it's something about that because I've only been back twice since he passed, and normally I go every month to check on the business, but it's still a bit much for me
Mm-hmm.
because throughout it all, that was my that was my only support. I remember, like, it caused me to remember stuff vividly. Like, I remember when the secretary of the high school was taking me to the hospital and I was in labor, and she stopped by my mom's fruit stand and she tell her, Gail in labor, I'm taking her to the hospital right now. And I wasn't living at home. I had my little own efficiency from the age of 14, paying $250 a month. So I was they took me to the hospital, and I thought she was gonna come. Like, so when my dad got there to pack up the fruits and vegetables for the night to take home, like 5 o'clock, she told him, she was like, they said Gail in labor and they took her there because they know when my daddy would have known. I know he told her because my daddy came. My
Mm.
mom sat downstairs in the car in the hot sun for 2 hours, didn't come upstairs in the hospital.
Wow.
My daddy came right up there.
Wow.
My daddy, it's like my daddy was my voice. He was my voice. It's just mind blowing because
Wow.
no matter what anybody else said, he was my voice. He walked, he talked, like, you just ain't going, you could say what you want about Gil, but Gil is the one that's going to do it. That was his mentality.
And you were.
Yeah. Out of all 12 of her children, I think I was the first one to have a business, and I'm the most successful one right now.
Wow. Wow.
It's always the seed, the stone the builder reject.
Yes. Yes.
It's,
That's amazing though. I
it's
mean,
always the stone the builder reject.
It is. It absolutely is.
Well, it's okay. I take it in stride. I forgive them. I pray for them, but I just know that they're not ready to receive me because I was chosen by God to be the generational curse breaker.
Mm,
And I knew when it came to me, like I made it very clear, this is not going to happen to my children and my children's children. The
amen.
buck stops with me.
Yes.
And so whatever that meant, it just is what it is. I'm not gonna either y'all gonna get on board or
Mm-hmm.
not.
Mm-hmm.
But they chose not to, and I'm okay with that. I still love them.
Okay. Okay. I mean, to me, that's a strength that not everyone possesses. And I could say I definitely don't possess that because my sister and I are close. We've had our bumps. We've had, our ups and downs and times where maybe we weren't speaking to each other as much as we should, but I would not be able to go years without talking to my sister, without knowing how she's doing. So I can't even, that's why I asked you earlier about how that felt, because that's something I don't think I could imagine.
I got three siblings live right in the city of Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Two of them live like 20 minutes from me. Last time I seen them, maybe 4 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, they don't talk to me. It's all right. I pray for them and I pray that God touch their heart. And even me, I pray that God help me to not just say that I forgive, but truly mean it
Yeah.
and love them enough to when they're ready to come back, that I'm ready to receive them. I remember just speaking in the Virgin Islands when I was telling them about my business because I have a sister that lived there, and that sister hadn't talked to me for 20 years. I opened my business. You know who was the first person I hired?
Her. Wow. That's
And I
good.
and I was paying her for doing nothing. And my dad was like, "You pay what you pay her for? She ain't doing nothing." He was like, "You need to stop that now." My daddy something else, baby. Daddy said, no, you need to stop that now." I was like, okay, Daddy, okay. You can't just be paying that money. She talked to you all this time. I said, I
Right,
know,
right.
Daddy. I know, Daddy, but I gotta forgive, Daddy. I just gotta forgive. He said, you
Yeah.
can't forgive her and not give her your money.
Daddy, like, keep that, okay? Make her do something.
He was like, you can forgive her and not give her your money.
Yes,
Like, okay.
yes.
I was like, okay, Daddy, I'm listening. but
Wow.
but that I've always been that way. I think because I try to put myself in other people's shoes. And so I know that everybody is not where I am. And I
Mhm,
took a minute to get here.
mhm,
And so when I think of people, I'm like, okay, but maybe they don't have the character or the wherewithal to
mhm,
view it the way I view it. So I'm
mhm,
like, okay, and I give them a pass.
mhm.
But my daddy wasn't with that pass and stuff on me. my daddy, my daddy said, don't be
Not
paying
Mr.
nobody.
Mad.
Mm-mm,
Not
mm-mm,
Mr. Mad.
mm-mm. Daddy said, nope, don't be paying nobody. Daddy said, what you paying her for? I said, well, Daddy, she said she needed a job. He said, well, what's she doing? I said, well, she said she would come down full time, but she changed her mind. Now she said she gonna do part time. Daddy said, so what she doing part time? I said, nothing yet. He said, you still paying her every week? I said, yes, Daddy. He said, you gotta stop that. I said, Jesus Christ. My daddy, man, that man, he did not play. I bet you I
You
had
know,
to stop
no.
paying her. I bet you I had to stop paying her.
I know you did.
And my daddy said that was it. That's
Wow.
his child.
Right.
He said, I said, okay, Daddy, don't worry about it. Your daughter gonna listen. He said, you out here, with people your money. I said, Daddy, no. He said, Dang, you can't be paid her. She ain't doing nothing. I said, okay, Daddy, okay, Daddy. My daddy. But
That
he
is
has a heart like that too. He's like that.
okay. Okay.
He's the same way. He just have a tougher exterior.
Hmm.
But like all what my mom and him went through, my mom got sick. My daddy would have won. Every time I get it to the Virgin Islands, I rent a car and I go get
Hmm.
my mama. My mama heavy. My daddy come, he pick her up, put her in the car. They divorced. They ain't together. He pick her, put her in the car. He follow me to where I'm going. He get out the car, put her in the wheelchair. He said, "Call me when you're ready to leave." He come back. He lift up. Mama and her children don't want to talk to him. They were mad because his name was on the obituary. But my daddy was the only man that married her, and the only man that she was sick. He took care of my mom. My mom, he took care of her.
Wow.
I remember him crying. He looked at me and he said, "Gail, God gonna bless you. Gail, God gonna bless you." He said, "Your mother only leave the house when you come here." He said, "God going to bless you." That was his exact words.
Mm. And he did.
I
And he
said,
done it.
"Daddy, yeah, because you got to let God do what he do. Let that people answer to God for what they do.
Yes.
You always be in the way of right. If you
Hmm.
always stand on the side of right, it will work out for you."
Yeah, it will.
And that was my goal. I can't. Vengeance is mine, said the Lord. It ain't for me to fight. Whatever
That's
God got for you is what you're gonna reap. You're gonna reap what you sow. I ain't gotta do nothing to you.
that's the truth. That is the truth.
Somebody said forgiveness is very powerful. That's so true. It is. And it's a tough thing because when you to get there is not easy. Because I
Hmm.
remember in the beginning I would say, I forgive, but every time they did something, I would be so mad because it would trigger up something else. And I remember praying and just asking God, like, God, just let me be sincere with my forgiveness. Let me be able to forgive and move on. And that's when I started seeing the fruit. Like, okay, I don't care what they do, I'm going to love them in spite of. And that's why I love them in spite of. I pray for them every day. They don't talk to me, but I pray for them.
Okay. I mean, and that's an example, y'all. That's an example on how to deal with people that hurt you, people that, throw you away. Pray for them regardless.
Yeah,
Leave your heart open for when they're ready to come back.
yeah, because I think God way of dealing with it is sometimes you may never know that you're the only God that people will ever see. Not you as a God, but the God in you
Hmm.
may be the only version of God they ever see. And
Hmm.
so you have to be aware of that some people, like my mother had 12 of us, but the brother that was convicted, there's only one sibling that has the same father with him.
Okay.
And she don't talk to me. I mean, she hate the ground I walk on. She has sickle cell and she got sick. And they called all of us and said, we need to go down to Fort Lauderdale to the hospital to try to see who would be a match for a bone marrow because she needed, because they said she not doing well, she gonna die. Who you thought would a match out of all 11?
So she needed you.
No, let me tell you her response. I'll die first. This what I did. I ain't gonna lie, because I was much younger then. I said, peace out. I ain't got sickle cell.
I think
I
I
was
probably would have did that too.
I was much younger then, baby. I wasn't saved, sanctified, and Holy Ghost filled like I am now. I said, what? So one of my brothers was blown away. He was like, girl, you prefer to die? Girl, I said, girl, peace out. I ain't got sickle cell. I
I think I would have did that too.
was like, if you prefer to die, if you love it, I like it for you.
Yeah.
I was going out there. I left all the rest of them standing in there. Well, since I'm the only match, y'all keep on trying. See if y'all can get somebody random to match her. Cause she said she prefer to die.
Yeah. Mm, mm,
She
mm.
did. She did. And even to this day, when they talk to me, they like, one of them was talking to me and were like, well, we should just start anew and start from scratch and forget everything. And I was like, okay, fine. And so I brought up her name and they was like, well, she ain't gonna. I said, how you ain't gonna let go something that your brother don't let go?
Mhm.
Me and the brother talk right now, by God, the Bible, whatever, if whenever we do talk. He's the
Mm,
only, if he I maybe a year or so ago, we talked about the Bible. You don't want to talk to me, but he cool. Something wrong with you.
yeah.
Well, if you ready to go to hell with gasoline draws on, baby, I'm gonna give you the sled to get you there, baby, because I ain't got time. I ain't got time. I'm
Right.
so sick. I'm so because that's stupid to me.
Yeah.
That is stupid to me. It don't make no sense. The person you're angry about has moved on, and you still mad to the point where you willing to die.
Mhm. Mhm.
Girl, I ain't got no sickle cell, girl.
Mm, mm.
I wasn't saying 75 that Holy Ghost feel. I ask God to forgive me, but back then that is sure enough what I said. I said, I ain't sickle cell.
Mm, mm,
You
mm.
willing to die? We gonna just have to do a funeral. It's like,
Mhm.
cause you couldn't have. I'm sorry. If they told me you were the only one that could save my life, I was like, girl,
Okay.
forgive me for everything I've done to you, girl. I want to live a long, abundant life. Thank you, Jesus, for my
Yes.
sister that's gonna give me the bone marrow.
Yes.
Who? Me? Baby, no. Mm-mm. Ain't that much hate in the world.
Yeah.
None. And my brother told one of my brothers told her about it, but she was like, "Nah, she don't want nothing from me." But
Mm.
that was hatred for me, but hatred for my daddy too. So
Okay.
they didn't like my daddy, and cause my daddy, me and my daddy were close. It wasn't work. I'm like,
Okay.
girl, I'd have took that bone marrow and gone on.
Right. I think anybody else would have. Mm, mm,
Girl,
mm.
before she could have said it real good, I'd be like, "Oh, thank you, Jesus, Hallelujah, give me." Girl, I wouldn't be thinking about no hate. I'd be thinking about trying to live
Yeah.
and live long.
Absolutely.
But some
Absolutely.
people, and that's part of me telling my story because I need people to see that though all of those things were stacked against me, I understand what forgiveness and love really look like. And it's
Mm,
not what you say, it's what you do.
mhm.
You can say it all day long, but if you don't have actions to back it up, because I could really be a bitter person. And
Yeah.
I said that this weekend when I was speaking last weekend gone. I was like, you know, I could have sat in a pity party and just be like, woe is me.
Yeah.
All these things happened to me. And I said, no, life threw me a curveball. I caught the curveball. I repackaged it into something positive and threw it back out in the universe. I said, but a lot of us, we get the curveball and we like, oh, okay, I just can't believe this is happening to me. Woe is me. You gonna stay stuck right there.
Yeah.
Because life and death is in the power of the tongue. Whatever you speak, that's what you gonna have. You speak broke and I can't catch a break. But never that you ain't gonna never catch a break then.
That's true.
Yeah, if you it's just your mindset, and when we
Mhm.
change our perspective, we'd be surprised at the things we can accomplish.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Dr. Gill, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing your story with us. Your story is powerful, inspiring. Um, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I appreciate you coming on the Love Experience show and telling us about your love experience.
Yes, I thank you. I thank you. It was a pleasure, and I truly just give God all the glory because I know I couldn't have made it without Him. My faith, and though I didn't have much many times,
Mm.
I ain't even had a mustard seed, but He carried me through, and so I'm very grateful. And it was a pleasure to be here.
Yes. So, guys, if you would like to be a guest on the Love Experience show, please reach out to me. You can reach out to me through my email, Ashley at itsashleyj.com, or you can find me on all social media at it's Ashley JW, and I will set you up with a date to appear on the Love Experience show. All right. So there is only one thing left for us to say, and that is, what is your love experience? Until I see y'all next week. Bye.